Namaste. Welcome to Wise on Career Guide. Today we have somebody who's been, shifting her career according to what she felt was her interest and passion as the time progressed, as she grew as a person. Please welcome Miss Rachita with us today. Hi, Rachita.
Hi, hi.
So, Rachita, before we get into the various career switches that you've done, could you just share what has been your educational background?
I am a Bachelor of History from Presidency College, Calcutta. And
Okay,
after that, I did image management.
okay. Yeah, it was a shift, but what is image management?
Image management is essentially shaping the perceptions of people according to
Okay,
who you are, right?
okay,
So every time we approach somebody, there
mm-hmm.
is some agenda to it. Let's
Right,
not dilute it down. And especially in a
absolutely.
business relationship, we have an agenda to it, right?
Right.
However, most of our communication is
Mm-hmm.
nonverbal.
Absolutely agreed.
Even before you have spoken something, somebody has a
Mm-hmm.
judgment about you.
Correct.
Now, how do you shape that? So, image
Okay.
management is shaping yourself to achieve your
Mm-hmm.
goal. That's
Okay.
essentially what it is.
So, why history and then a switch from history to image management?
History gave me a lot of perspective. Even the history
Mm-hmm.
was a choice because
Okay.
my parents, they come from literature background. So they expected me to take literature, but I was so
Okay.
conversant with literature for all this while that I wanted to draw a parallel with it, with the real life that was going around at that time when the literature was being written.
Okay.
So I got through both the disciplines
Mm-hmm.
and I chose to go ahead with history.
Okay. That's nice. So, how did you find out about this image management course? And how
I
many institutes are there in India, offering this kind of a course?
Image management I came to know through a friend who thought I
Hmm.
was a perfect fit for that.
Okay.
And I love to speak to people. So that
Okay.
was one thing which drew me to it. And after
Hmm.
having a very academic background, because Presidency College, people expect us to be more academic in our approach.
Hmm.
And I just thought that why not take it further? Why
Right.
just be there? There are a lot of institutes. However, the one that I did, Image Management
Hmm.
Institute, they
Hmm.
are the oldest. And I was one of the
Okay.
first batches who did the course with them.
Okay.
Yeah. And
All
I'm a
right.
partner consultant with them right now.
Oh, wow. That's really nice. So, after your course, what was the first job, first, career that you got into?
So, yes, again, like you said in my introduction, is that I love to have fun with career.
Right.
Because I believe that the youth today or people in general take a lot of
Hmm.
stress and they just want to
Absolutely.
go on one zone because we have been told focus,
Right.
focus. But what if you could have multiple businesses? Who told you that you have to have one?
Correct.
So while I was holding seminars about image management, I was also an
Hmm.
assistant director. I
Okay.
I have also been an assistant camera person. I have
Okay.
been a model. I have been an actor, and I think Mumbai had a lot to do with it because in
Okay.
Mumbai, when I reached Mumbai, uh, there the people are more expansive and they don't have a judgment about work.
Absolutely.
So people want you to go explore yourself. And in Mumbai, you'll hear so many stories that somebody came to become a script writer and became a cinematographer.
Right. I agree.
So
So,
it I kept on going for auditions. I kept on, but yeah, I'm like people think making money. I made a
mhm,
lot of money because I did
okay.
not stop myself trying to put myself in a box.
Absolutely. So, I really admire that. And, I think the youth should understand that as you grow, as you find new avenues, get more exposure, it is okay to experiment and learn and, keep on finding new things that you like. So, yes, this interesting part of your journey. After that, what was the next step?
I think I am not somebody who really thinks the next step,
Okay.
and I don't really put it in one step. I go
Okay.
across things, and
Hmm.
like I said, who said that you have to be one person all the time? You're not, and
Absolutely agree.
you have so much to explore. If you're not having fun, it's time to change.
True.
So from there, I joined an organization called Makers Loft, who do STEM education
Okay.
for children. So I was
Hmm.
doing Lego STEM education for with the kids, where I had so much fun because kids don't have a judgment about themselves.
Absolutely. They've still not learned that, you need to have those preconceived notions and stick to them. They're still exploring. They're still learning.
Yeah, they're still
So,
learning. However, the setup is such that it just wants to drain them out. Because I
yeah.
remember the kids that I was interacting with on a daily basis, they had so many classes lined up, one after the
Hmm.
other. So,
Okay.
you have to understand that most parents are not choosing a class for their kids, they're choosing it for themselves because they
Right.
have already decided that we are not good enough for this.
So
So,
we want
let's go.
that child.
Yeah. So, that pressure is
Hmm.
actually their pressure which they are feeling in real time because it's not a good space to live in where you think that you are not good enough and I have to hand it over to somebody who's another person altogether.
Correct.
And that whole space creates the issue of uh, realizing that you can't really control them. However, you are setting up a space where you're asking them to be so many different people, yet excel only in academics.
Correct. The extracurricular activities are considered just that, the extra part of your life. That's not
Yeah.
the main part of your life still.
I
So,
actually started working quite early, so that I think helped me a lot.
yes. If you that's something that even I have noticed that once you get your independence early, you start making those right and wrong decisions for yourself, which I think Indian parents are still not, letting their kids explore.
Yes, because I remember that when I was just past my teenage, and Pizza
Hmm.
Hut had an opening, and I said, why
Okay.
not? And I faced the judgment like, what are you going to do? You are going to serve pizza to people? Like, it's not something that you should do. But it was real job.
Yeah.
I was interacting with people, and yeah, means I did not go for that because I had a like lot of things at that point of time that I was juggling through. I was
Hmm.
a coordinator at the Statesman Voices when I was in class 9th. So I was
Oh,
writing
wow.
for the Statesman features at that point of time.
Hmm.
So I was like, yeah,
Okay.
okay, but I was open to that.
So, a writer, a director, a cinematographer, a model, an actor, a consultant. After that, what next?
I am a writer. I'm an author right
Okay.
now. I'm an author
Oh,
with
wow.
HarperCollins, and
Hmm.
I'm expecting my book to be launched next year. It's my first
Oh,
novel.
wow. Congratulations.
Thank you so much. However, I wouldn't have reached my story
Hmm.
had I not been all these things. And
Absolutely.
I would want to be more.
I guess writing does help that. But coming to, as an author, a lot of people think they can write or they want to write, but there are so many blocks that they face, even before the writer's block comes in, that fear of how, where to begin with. What
Mhm.
is your advice for them? How to go about actually writing?
Writing can be really intimidating. I have been there
Hmm.
and I have faced it. So let's not dilute it. It can be intimidating because you are just facing something, a blank piece of paper or a keypad. But
Right.
when that intimidation hits, just realize they're just judgments that you have about yourself.
Okay.
So, what really helped me was to keep a notepad by my side where
Hmm.
nobody will read my book. Point one, I wrote my judgment down. It's out there.
Okay.
Most of the times, when we face a judgment about ourselves, we try to
Hmm.
shove it in and bottle it up.
Correct.
Nobody will read my book. No, 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 that's not going to happen with me. Or, yeah, is it going to happen with me? But yes, this is a judgment, which obviously we have also bought from somebody else. At some point of time, as a child or something, you were told that you were not good enough. And you are
Absolutely.
just affirming it. So have it on the paper. There were times when I all that I wrote was not the story, but my judgments down.
Okay.
So
Okay.
for me, writing was also very therapeutic because
Hmm.
all that I thought and felt about myself was down there.
Right. So it's like, expressing what you've been bottling up first before you get on to any of the tasks.
Yes, like you might have a story. One of the things that people generally do that people just think that their life is a story and they want to write their life story. But then here is where you have to be slightly practical. Everybody has a story. Nobody has grown up without trauma. We are talking
Absolutely.
about trauma and drama and all that. That has happened to everybody. So
Right.
why would somebody purchase your story, right?
Hmm.
So you have to be
Right.
really honest with yourself, and it's not an easy space to be. So
Agreed.
at that point of time, again, for me, journaling really helps. And if you
Hmm.
want to be a writer, if you want to be an author, you have to write. And not everything has to make sense. Possibly that day, you can just sit down and write what you think the story should be. And
Okay.
then do some research as to how many people have done stories similar to it.
Okay.
So, what sets you apart? What sets your story apart?
True.
Sometimes you have to add something that makes it different. It might not be the truth.
Hmm.
However, what is the truth?
True.
You can,
Especially if you're not writing an autobiography or a biography, then it doesn't need to be the truth.
yeah, it has to be something that you resonate with. However, you also have to realize that it's a product.
Yeah.
The product has to be sold. Why would
True.
somebody buy your product if it is the same thing repeated again and again? That said, I would also say that sometimes you also have to let your stories take their own turn.
Okay.
For me, the first draft that I wrote was
Mhm.
completely let the characters take over.
Okay.
And I just let it out there. It's the second draft
Mhm.
when you start making it into a product.
Okay.
Like if I compare it to your basic khichdi,
Right.
khichdi, everybody has khichdi. Your life story is a khichdi, or the story you want to say is a khichdi, right? So you put
Right.
whatever you want to put there. You've made it. Then you taste it and realize that, yeah, this is a very basic khichdi. So what would set it apart? And then you add your different tadkas or try something completely different with it. Like for me, I went into dark humor
Okay.
because I just wanted to laugh at after it was there on the table. I was like, this is so funny if it was happening to somebody else.
So I guess the basic and the most biggest fear that comes into is that when you're writing, people want to write that perfect, ready to print, book in the first go. I think that is something they need to let go because I guess it would require draft at least two or three of them before you can get to your final product.
Yes. Like, with writing, there is so much pressure that you think because you're facing yourself, right? So
Yeah,
you feel that, perfection should be delivered at the first go. But even if you look at any product, like even if you look at a basic bag of chips, think about how many product testings that they go through.
right,
So if you look at something that people will like, will love, first identify after you have written it, you've got it out on the paper. It's therapeutic, so do that whether you want to print it or not. After that, figure out who are you writing it for.
okay,
If you're writing it for somebody that needs a bit of spicing up, do that.
hmm,
If
okay,
not, if you're writing for a younger audience, in that case, you have to adapt it to their trials and tribulations. They have to identify with it. If, they don't identify with it or it doesn't excite them, there has to be something. See,
right,
why does a person need a story? A person needs a story to get out of their mundaneness, to
right,
look into an alternative world, which we do fantasy, to learn something, or to just have that moment where you are at peace with yourself.
right,
It can be any of this, or it can be a mixture of all this and all of them as well. But you have to be clear what you are delivering, right? So
right,
if it's a bag of potato chips and you are making a plain salted version, you are catering to a specific kind of people who don't want it to be spiced up. They
right.
just want a good chips, right? That's what they're looking for. So this is a very different category from somebody who's making a magic masala.
True,
So you need to be honest with yourself that in whose hands do you want the book to be?
correct.
And you take the decision first. However, sometimes it also happens that when it reaches the publisher's hand, they want
Hmm.
to cater to a different audience because they also have their research
Right,
network and they also know where is the space of it, right? At that point of time, there are two ways to go. Either you're very sure of your story.
hmm,
In that case, I would say follow your thing and put your point across. Or second, be open to their point of view of it as well.
point of, Sure.
because they are also doing a lot of research. They also know where the market is.
Hmm.
It's your story, but they are also putting their money into it. You have to respect that.
Right. Yeah, absolutely agree. Rachita, thank you so much for sharing so many insights. And especially, I hope the youth who watches this understands that, there is no one single straight line, even if when it comes to a career. As you grow, your lives change and your needs change. Thank you so much for joining us today.
My pleasure.
Thank you.
So that was Miss Rachita sharing with us her experience through various careers. What she said that you need to keep exploring, keep learning. Don't stay rigid in your learning process or in the process of exploring what you like, what you enjoy, because it might change and it is okay to change your career, to decide to do something new, explore something new as you grow through your life. I hope this was an insightful session for you. If you have any questions, do write to us in the comments below and we'll get back to you. Also, do like, share, and subscribe the channel. Thank you.